Sorry, it's been a while since I uploaded a video. It's been a busy year or two. Times have changed a lot since I started my channel, but I still plan on making some more videos now that I've kind of settled down in my life a little bit. You know, when I first started, I was working 7 days and off 7 days or 5 days, and I had a lot of free time. And you know, I went through 2 different jobs since then, and I bought a house, and I've got a kid on the way right now. So I'm going to be getting back into making some videos, but only on things that I really think are important to me and I really want to make a video about, especially since a lot has changed with YouTube since I first started, so the motivation isn't there quite as much. But today's video, I'm going to talk to you guys about the Windows Mixed Reality headsets. I got the Samsung Odyssey headset. I tried them all when I was in the store. I'm going to talk about my experience with each of them later on and near the end of this video, and I'm going to talk about a lot in this video. I'm going to try to cover as many bases as possible, take as long as I need to. You know, this is just to help people make a decision when they're doing research on the Windows Mixed Reality headsets. So let's dive in. Like I said, I chose the Samsung Odyssey. Since it has the highest resolution out of all the headsets. I believe it has 1440 by 1600 per eye. It's got a 110 field of view, which that is the same as the Vive and Oculus, but the 1440 by 1600 is way higher than the Vive and Oculus resolution. It's got dual AMOLED displays, which means that the image you're looking at is going to be a lot brighter than some of the other Windows Mixed Reality headsets. However, that doesn't mean that you're going to get a bad experience with the other ones. Like I said, I'm going to talk about those later, but don't make your mind up just because I said it's brighter. One of the other reasons, whenever I tried the Windows Mixed Reality headset in the store, when I put it on, the sweet spot, there's something called a sweet spot for those of you who don't know if you're new to VR. When you're using Fresnel lenses, which a lot of VR headsets do, there is a certain point in the lens where you need to look through in order for things to be crystal clear. And the sweet spot is how big that certain point is my understanding of it, and it makes sense to me. I hope it makes sense to you. Correct me if I'm wrong. Always feel free. Like I said, I'm trying to help people, so if I'm spreading misinformation, just tell me. But that's my understanding of it. And this one, the sweet spot is much larger than any of the other VR headsets. That, coupled with the high resolution and the bright display, is just an incredible experience. I enjoy it very much. I'm going to talk about the headphones on there. I had seen another YouTuber talk about he got it and he was kind of complaining about stuff. You know, I'll go into that later. But he said that the headphones really weren't that impressive, and I'm just thinking to myself, well, when I put this on, I had the headphones on, I got everything set up. If you get it, you have to mess with it to get it to sit on your head the right way, to get the earphones over your ears. Like, you don't have to stretch anything or put it on uncomfortably. There is a way to make it fit. I've got a huge ass head, so if I can make it fit right, you can make it fit right. It just takes a few minutes of, you know, adjusting the knob, you know, moving the headset up, down. And don't forget that this headset particularly pulls out instead of hinging up like the other ones. You can pull it out to pull it over your eyes that helps you get your head proper position for the headset. But I'm gonna I got it to fit just right, and I got a weird head. I know you guys can too. It fit me great. Whenever I first got the Samsung Odyssey headset, I was running into a few errors, a few bugs that were causing me not to be able to get it to set up right. Part of that is I think I may have had something might have been wrong with the unit that I had at first. However, I did manage to get it set up, and this was within a few days of it being out. I went up to my local mall and bought it. It's been out, I think, roughly 3 weeks now. But when I plugged it in and everything, it was saying I had issues with my USB drivers, and that's common. So the easy way to fix that is you need to go into your device manager. Here, you go down to your universal serial bus. I hope you can see this. And there's something, the AS Media USB 3.1 extensible host controller right there. You right click it, you click uninstall device, and then you restart your computer. That was a fix for one of the issues I was having. And then I had another one that there wasn't a fix for. However, I ended up just doing a complete Windows refresh, making sure I had Windows all the way updated, making sure my graphics driver was updated to the very latest. I use something called IObit driver booster, which I highly recommend for anyone that doesn't want to go through and have to deal with shit not being in date. I use it all the time. There's a free version. I bought the pro version just because it's such a good software, and I use their advanced system care too. It goes through and it updates everything for you. But you'll still need to do the fix I said before, even if it is updated. There you go. I'm going to X out of that now. But, okay. What else went on? Oh, I'm going to talk about the availability. It's, like I said, it's available at your local mall. I actually pre-ordered it, I think a week and a half before it was supposed to release. And it said it was going to ship within 10 days of my order. Well, 10 days had gone by. It had been out in stores. No, it was about half a week. So I ordered it a couple days before it was due out. So it had been out in stores for a week, and I still hadn't gotten my headset shipped yet. So if you're going to try to get one of these, expect shipping issues, especially with the Samsung Odyssey. The other ones don't. I mean, they're widely available. But I decided to cancel my pre-order and just go up to my local mall and buy one where they had been for sale for a week already. And that was about 2 weeks ago. So they've been sale for roughly a week or 3 weeks. And once I got everything set up, I was very, very happy with my experience. But I will say, whenever I was messing around, before Steam VR came out on it, I was just like, man, you know, this thing was expensive. It was $540 US dollars for me after tax. And I was like, what am I going to do with this thing? You know, I've got a kid on the way. I'm remodeling parts of my house. I was looking at what I could have done with that money otherwise. But I was just like, you know, I had never owned a VR headset before, and I really wanted to get into VR. But so I decided I was going to try to take it back. So this is where I really looked at the other headsets closely, because I was going to try to convince myself to take it back and buy a cheaper headset and see if I could make do with something a little bit cheaper. And that's where I went through and I looked at them and I compared them side to side with the Samsung. You know, I tried the Acer one. It's a great little headset. It's cheap. It's still got good image quality. It's a little dimmer, and the sweet spot isn't as big. So it'll take a little bit of adjusting to get the sweet spot where you want it. To make everything real clear. But it has a way higher resolution than the Oculus and the Vive. It has way better picture. It is excellent for any game really. But for me, I like to play flight sims. I like to play space sims, a racing sim every so often, and being able to see those small pixels off in the distance, those distant objects, that higher resolution makes a very big difference. And being able to pick stuff out, it has detail to it. And whereas the Rift and the Vive, if you're playing something like DCS World or Elite Dangerous, it is really tough to pick stuff out far away, even when you have super sampling turned up. And I will talk about that here in a little bit. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Acer, great headset. A little bit uncomfortable. I could see how someone would think over periods of hours where it would be uncomfortable. You know, but personally, me, if I didn't have the budget for the Samsung Odyssey headset, I could very easily make do with the Acer, and I would be happy with it. It is a very nice little headset, and it was $350 in stores, and it is now $300 in stores on Black Friday, and I found it way cheaper on eBay. What's the next one I tried? I tried the Lenovo Next. It was basically the same exact experience as with the Acer. It has the same screen. The ergonomics are mildly different. It has a little bit thicker cushion on the front. Same image, same everything. Great experience. Same brightness. You know, it's not going to blow you away. But if you are not comparing it side by side to another headset, you're not really going to notice that brightness. And plus, I didn't get to mess with the brightness settings inside of the headset. Okay. Well, the next one I tried out was the Dell. The Dell was actually surprisingly, to me, in my mind, it seemed brighter than the first two. However, the display model that they had was having issues. The computer they were using was crashing, and the pixels on the display were flashed. I could see little pixels flashing in and out. I don't know if it was display or if they had a bad graphics card in that laptop. Like I said, the laptop had crashed. Didn't really look like they took anybody there really paid too close attention to the laptops. It didn't really seem like the laptops were running well at all. But that's a whole different issue. Otherwise, if I'm just looking at the headset itself, the image was great still. I really liked the ergonomics, and I'm going to tell you right now, The Dell, it looks nice. Like if I had to sit that on my desk and look at it, I'm like, man, that thing's kind of cool looking, you know. And I mean, that may not be a plus for a lot of people, but I looked in through it. The image quality was nice and crisp. It seemed a little brighter than the other two I just mentioned. The next one I tried, I mean, I was thinking about getting the Dell. Here's the thing, I was actually making my mind up, even though the display model was screwed up and they wouldn't get me another one, you know, I was thinking about getting the Dell. So I moved on to the HP. I'm like, I'm going to try these all, and then I'm going to try the Samsung again and see how much difference there is and see if I can convince myself to get something cheaper. Moved on to the HP. Same exact experience as the Dell, but it's not broke. You know, it's got a nice, it was a little bit brighter than the other two. It has really great ergonomics. The screen resolution was fantastic. I mean, you can't ask for much more. I mean, they're really great headsets. So I was like, all right, that's nice too. I was still trying to think to myself, like, man, this is kind of a tough choice. But then I put that Samsung back on, and in my mind, you know, I had already made my mind up. I'm like, man, I'm gonna get this Dell, whatever. I don't need that Samsung. Well, because I was gonna save like 150, almost $200. I think I got a % off in store too. Well, I put Samsung back on, and as soon as that thing hit my head, I was like, you know what, never mind. Just swap the one I have out for a different one, because I think there might have been something wrong with, I was having some issues with the HDMI port. Swapped it out. I'm just like, man, I'm keeping it. Screw that. I'm going to have this headset. It's a nice headset. It's going to be something I use fairly often. So I decided to keep that. Sorry if I'm a little long-winded, but I'm trying to get you as much information and give you my first-hand experience to the best of my ability without glossing over any details, so I'm going to be a little long-winded. And plus, like I said, I don't do YouTube for money, so if you don't like my video or you don't like the way I do stuff, well, I'm just trying to help you, so if I'm not helpful, I'm sorry. What's the next one we talked about? Oh, setup. Anyway, like I said, sorry I'm bouncing all over. I'm trying to keep my track straight here. I decided to keep it because the sweet spot, the brightness, and the higher pixel density, and those headphones is just such a fantastic experience. I decided, you know what, I can't swap this out for those. It is leaps and bounds better than the other ones. It's not to say the other ones are bad. They're great. They are better than the Vive and Rift, in my opinion. And while I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to talk about tracking. I have seen other YouTubers talk about tracking, some tracking issues, and a lot of them, I think Tested and Linus Tech Tips were both saying there was issues with tracking, and I think what the issue they were running into is they were running with outdated software. I know Linus Tech Tips video was extremely outdated because he uploaded that video, and we had known for several weeks that SteamVR was coming on the Wednesday before he posted that video, and he told us that it would be out by the end of the year. So that's how you know immediately that video was at least 2 weeks old at bare minimum. So he was running with older drivers on an older Windows version, and with outdated information. Because when I got mine, they were talking about having issues with the tracking, pulling it to your chest, and having it being glitchy, and I didn't have any of that. I downloaded a game called Onward, and you have to reach down, grab guns, and aim them in front of your eyes, and I had, it was seamless. It was perfect. I didn't have any issues at all with the tracking. I mean, I literally pinpoint. You have to steady your gun while you're doing it. I got pinpoint shots all over the place, and everybody else was playing with Vives and stuff. I was competitive. I'm going to tell you personally, I'm not into military sims that much. I get bored if I run around and shoot people for a little while, so maybe I'm not maybe I'm not the best guy to ask about that, but when I was looking at it objectively, in terms of accuracy and how well the headset tracked the controllers, I didn't see any issues. I will say, if you move the controllers out of these little sensors' sight, you may get it may lose tracking for a slight second, but there's also gyros built into those controllers, so you still get some. It still kind of knows what's going on, but if you leave them off the sensors too long, when you pull them back, it takes it a second to realize you did it. I learned that very quickly. It only took me a few minutes to adapt to it. As soon as I put the headset on, you learn to keep the controllers in front of you to a certain degree. Every game I played, let's see, I played with the controllers. I played Space Pirate Trainer, Halo Recruit, and Onward, and Zomday. I played all of those, and I didn't have one issue with the motion tracking, not tracking, or losing tracking, or making me less competitive, or anything like that. But what you need to realize is you know, if you're moving your hands up, you need to make sure that those sensors can see your hands. If you're moving your hands down, if your head's up, the sensors are like reading above this level, and your hands at your chest, it's not going to track you. So if you need to move your head down a little bit to see that thing, do it. It's instinctive, it's natural, you learn it, and it doesn't really break you out from the immersion that much. I really like it, and it is extremely valuable to have that option, as opposed to having to have an entire room, having shit screwed all over your room, or having to have those little lighthouses that you need for the other ones. You get full. That's another thing. I'm going to move into another topic. You get full room scale tracking out of the box. You don't need anything except for the headset. When you set it up, you put the headset on, you run the setup, you take the area you're going to use, and you walk around it with the headset. It literally takes 60 seconds tops if you're going slow and taking your time. It is absolutely great setup, especially now that Windows has patched some of the issues I ran into when I set it up. Because, like I said, I was a little bit early with the Samsung Odyssey. I was having issues with the Samsung Odyssey that people weren't having issues with the other headsets, and I think that's because this one was slightly different, had a little bit different specs. Maybe it didn't have the support the other ones did, but they patched all those things. Everything is great now, because when I got my new one and I did a Windows refresh, it was a real quick setup. But anyway, it's extremely convenient to have. I didn't have any issues with motion tracking. I didn't feel like I was giving up any competitiveness or talk to you later. Making any sacrifices by using that over the Vive or the Rift. You just have to realize how to use it properly. You know, if you're looking over here and you're trying to shoot this way, I mean, that's kind of dumb, just in general. I don't know why you would do that, but you're not going to get tracking. But anyway, what else am I talking about? Oh, tracking's good, room scale's good. I'm going to talk about a few of the games I really like. You know, I played Space Pirate Trainer. That was a neat little demo to me. You know, if you have a couple buddies over, you're just chilling out, you guys can swap the headset. There is a competitive thing. You can go in the options and set up like a competition where you guys can each compete for the highest score. You can't both use the same headset at the same time. You have to like take it off, hand it over. That's fun. It's neat. It's nothing great, but it is a nice little time passer, and I was surprised at how well it ran. And not how well it ran, but just how fun I was having with it over such a simple game. You know, I played Halo Recruit. I'm going to tell you, that game's dumb as hell. It's fucking stupid. I don't know what the hell they were thinking when they released it. That literally just pops up pictures of Halo enemies. I mean, like, that is the dumbest VR game I've played so far, and they wanted to slap the name Halo on it. But besides the obvious stupidity in the design of the game, it was a good experience. You know, the guns tracked real well. It was fun. It was amusing. You know, after you beat it, you know, Master Chief walks up and talks to you and tells you to hop into the back of the whatever the fuck Warthog I think it is. That was kind of neat. Now, if this is just like a little preview of a game that's coming up, that would be fucking cool. That would be amazing. But if this is all they're going to do, that's kind of sad that they just wanted to slap Halo on something, you know. Luckily it's free. You're not losing anything. But I think they could have done a lot better job with that. Like I said, I played Onward. It was fun. You know, I got everything working properly, working great. I didn't have to jump through any hoops. Everything tracked real well. Everything aimed real well. I will say something I do not like is when you're playing Onward, you want to use these, but you cannot because the Vive, I don't believe, has those, and Steam VR has things set up to where you have to use this. So that's mildly annoying and not extremely intuitive. However, it does work. You know, and I've seen people tinkering with ways to move around that. You know, I would definitely try to join some Windows mixed reality Reddit groups. It's just to keep an eye on stuff like that. I didn't care that much. It was easy to work around, but I would have definitely preferred to be able to use the sticks. DCS World is one I tried. That is an extremely in-depth flight sim. I've not spent a lot of time on it, like in general, But I wanted to try that with VR because I wanted to see if I really wanted to take time to learn it. And when I put this headset on and tried it in VR, that blew me away how good it felt. You're sitting in here, you're messing around, you start your little plane up, and you start accelerating up into the air, and you literally feel like you're in the damn plane. And now that, I always thought, to myself, there was always a little doubt in the back of my mind, like, yeah, this guy's just fucking shilling VR, or always being dramatic because he's trying to convince himself that his purchase was worth it. No, you literally feel like you're there. You can forget where you're at with this headset, with the Samsung VR headset. I haven't played DCS World with some of the other ones, but I have read reviews, and part of the reason I chose the Samsung is so that I could get into some flight sims. I've played other flight sims, which I do like, but the support on VR on those isn't quite as good as DCS Worlds. But when you're going up, you're flying around, you feel like you're in the damn plane, and it's cool. And I had a great experience, and I got great performance. That's another thing I'm talking about. My system specs. I've got a 2683 V3. And I've got all cores locked at 3.0 gigahertz I had modded my BIOS. It's a Xeon, but it runs games great. I don't get any drop frames, yada, yada, yada. I needed it for other stuff I was doing on my computer. I've got a 1080 Ti. I've got 24 gigabytes of RAM. And everything runs real great. And I can actually turn on super sampling in a lot of my games and get really good results. I'm going to talk about Elite Dangerous next. I played Elite a little bit about a year ago. I got like 200 hours into it. It was fun, but I really got fucking bored with it. It's kind of a boring game if you're not into space trading or just flying around and exploring stuff, which I did for a while. It was cool, but I'm like, man, there's other stuff I want to play, and I feel like I've kind of seen a lot of the stuff the game had to offer. Well, when you put a VR headset on and you go into that game, it is a completely different world. It takes this game that seemed like there wasn't much to it. It makes you feel like you were in a different universe. Sat down in the cockpit of my ship. I have my I have a CH throttle and stick here. I had my Samsung headset on. I sat in there when I got it working. It took me a little while to get my super sampling and details where I wanted it, because you want to make sure you get a solid 90 frames per second, because a lot of games will make you sick if you don't. And I'll talk to you about that in a minute. But when I sat down in Elite Dangerous, it was a game changer. I mean, DCS World is cool. It's cool. It is neat. I don't know how much I'll actually play it. I'll sit down and learn it, mess with it a little bit. But VR, maybe this is going to turn me into an actual want to play Elite Dangerous a lot. It is so far the best experience I've had, and mostly because I'm not a kind of person who's going to. I work manual labor, so when I get off work, I don't want to, run around a room flailing my arms around. I want to sit down and relax a little bit. I hop into Elite Dangerous, mine, maybe go explore, maybe do some bounty hunting, eventually learn some more of the mechanics, get better at it. And then, but yeah, definitely Elite Dangerous is worth checking out on VR. It is. If you haven't ever tried it, I mean, I tried it with the Xbox controller. It was okay. It was like, all right, this is cool. But I will tell you something else. In VR, with Elite Dangerous, being able to look around and open up those menus like that, it makes it a lot more ergonomic. The cockpits feel completely different. The scale of everything feels very different when you're in VR. It's very, very cool experience. And but with the HOTAS, I would definitely even get a cheap HOTAS. Like there's the T16000 one that's actually they marketed it towards elite players, but you can use it for anything. Having to be able to the stick and throttle makes everything way different, and it's definitely worth checking out. The next game I checked out was Everspace, and I'm going to tell you, I tried that game out with my Xbox controller, and I really didn't like it. It made me kind of sick. It made me hot because of the motion sickness, and felt real arcadey. And I'm more into. I like feeling like the movements are kind of realistic. I'm not super into Sims, but it was just felt like everything was too fast, up, down, left, right, and it wasn't just a good fit for VR for me personally. And I know I'm pretty sure my frame rate was good too on Everspace, but I personally wouldn't recommend it. But there are people who've managed to really like it in VR, and they don't have the motion sickness problem. That's another issue I'll talk about here is the motion sickness. You need to make sure that you get your 90 frames per second. And that's extremely important. If you don't get it, at least for me, in my experience, if I don't get it, I start feeling nauseous. And if I start feeling nauseous, I mean, it's better to take a break. Because if you try to fight it, it'll make you sick. And you'll actually you can actually train your body to really not like VR, or you can adapt to it. If you try to fight through it and you don't take a break, you're eventually going to make yourself sick. And every time you put that headset on, you're going to associate that sickness with the headset, and that's not something you want to do if you want to get into VR. So, like, yeah, there was a few times where I was feeling a little sick. I was like getting a little woozy, so I'm like, all right, fine, I'm pop the headset off, take a 10-minute break, get something to drink, get a snack. A lot of that was I was hungry too. That kind of goes in with, for me, motion sickness. If I get hungry, I'm more likely to get motion sickness too. You know, something to keep in mind. Also, I didn't have to go this far, but if you are really prone to motion sickness, ginger ale and ginger beer and ginger candy helps a lot. Just ginger is supposed to help with motion sickness. And there's also motion sickness medication that you can get over the counter called Dramamine, which I have seen online where some people take that a couple hours before they use the headset, or whatever the timing is it takes to sink into your system before they use the headset, and over time they slowly got to the point to where they didn't have to use it. Like I said, there was only a few small instances where I felt that way, and that was some of it was that I had my settings cranked up too high, and then in Everspace's case, I think that this overall it was too fast, and the motion, it wasn't a natural feeling. Everything was extremely jerky, and when you jerked, I mean, you're still sitting here, so your body obviously notices the difference. So this is some tips for motion sickness. Those are just my experiences. I'm not going to tell you how your body works, and I'm not saying I'm a doctor or anything like that, or an expert on the subject. But here I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you what I use to monitor my FPS while I'm in games. You want to open your Steam VR. Open it up, and it'll, of course, anytime you open Steam VR, it's going to open up the Windows Mixed Reality portal. There's nothing you can really do about that, but whatever. You give it a second to load. You know, I don't have SSDs, so things take a second. I don't really care about it. I can wait a second just before I spend a couple $100 on that stuff. Oh, it's loading. Okay, here's what I use. I use the frame timing tool in the Steam VR setup. And what you need to do on the frame timing tool is when you go in to your game and you adjust settings, you need to pop out and you need to look at this frame timing tool, and you want to keep all your frames under 11, basically. If it goes above, that means you're not keeping your 90 frames per second. At least that's how I've known to do it. There's other ways of doing stuff, you know, feel free to, if you find other ways that you prefer, go for it, but this is just for people who don't know what the hell they're doing and want an easy way to do it. But here's how you do it. You go into right here in your Steam VR thing, go down, go to settings, you go to performance, and you go, what the hell did I click? Display frame timing. What this is doing is it's displaying the times in between each frame. And that means if you're going over 11 milliseconds, that means you're not getting the frames you need. So you'll see spikes go up above this level right here if you're not getting the proper performance, which means you need to crank some of your settings down. I was getting this, you know, I thought I was going to be able to get the best of the best since I had the 1080 Ti. Well, this thing has a slightly higher resolution than all the other headsets, especially the Oculus. So I cranked up the super sampling up, and when I did that, I got way higher frame times, and it made me nauseous, and I noticed the difference. You know, and there's you get stutters if it goes above that too while you're in the headset. So you need to find for yourself. You need to find a balance between image quality and frames per second. I'm sure you already know that. I'm trying to talk to the most bare bones basic beginner newbie, trying to give them kind of the lowdown. So if you already know what I'm talking about and you think I'm talking way too much, well, it's not for you. Okay, let me see what else we have to talk about here. I mean, I feel like I've talked about a lot. Oh, here's another thing. If you want to know if your system's ready for VR and if you need to do anything for your to be ready for Windows Mixed Reality, here's just off the top of my head. You need to make sure your system has at least one USB 3.0 slot available. You've got to make sure you've got the let me see here. It requires probably specific HDMI 1.4 and oh, you want one HDMI 2.0 for Ultra, and then one HDMI 1.4 if you're okay with having everything turned down and not really getting the best experience. But there is a test to make sure that your system is ready for Windows Mixed Reality. You just go to the Microsoft Store, type in Windows Mixed Reality PC Check, get the app, load it up, and it'll tell you if you're ready. And a lot of people, their drivers, they don't have the right drivers for it, which it'll walk you through how to get the proper drivers for USB 3.0. That's a very common issue, and that's easy to fix. And it'll tell you, don't forget you need to have a Bluetooth dongle. There was a YouTuber who just went out and bought the headset and didn't do any research, and then he literally bitched on his video that he needed to get a YouTube dongle. It's just like, well, how about you just check the website, because it does say that you need a Bluetooth dongle, and if you would have done the PC check, you would have known too. It's not the headset's fault, it's not the manufacturer's fault, it's your fault for not being prepared and not researching the product that you're buying. Whenever I got mine, I have an ASRock Taichi X99 motherboard. It has built-in Bluetooth. A lot of people have issues with the built-in motherboard Bluetooth. I did it first, but then I realized I don't use the Wi-Fi on my motherboard, and I thought I had antennas that I was going to attach to my motherboard. But those antennas apparently were for the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth. So once I finally attached those antennas, I got great Bluetooth reception, and it solved the issues I was having with my motion controller. So you need to make sure that you have a good Bluetooth dongle. Don't go out and get a piece of shit. Do some research on it if you're not sure that your motherboard one's going to work. Get a good one. Do some reviews. I would personally recommend you get one that you can set somewhere. Kind of like if your PC is way over on the other side of the room, and the little dongle's this big on the back of the PC, there might be a range issue there. So just make sure you do your research. You don't need a super expensive one, but don't get a piece of shit one, because I mean, part of the way that it does most tracking, it integrates with Bluetooth as well as the headset tracks it. So that will make a difference. Let me see what else. Oh, this is one way to check your PC. That's just to see if you have meet the minimum specs. Another nice way to check things is to run the Steam VR benchmark, which, let me see. I think you can literally find it. I'm downloading a bunch of shit in the background, so that's why my internet's kind of slow. I think I have it. Well, you just type in Steam VR benchmark into Steam, and once you do that, it'll load up, and it'll tell you, it'll run a little benchmark, and it'll tell you how many drop frames you have and how your system compares. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio for Windows Mixed Reality, because it is a different resolution, but it kind of gives you another way of knowing, hey, is my system going to be able to handle this, just for backup, for to assure you. Also, the number one thing I would recommend if you're wondering what kind of performance, actual raw performance you're going to be able to get, you kind of get a ballpark estimate on how well you're going to be able to perform in VR. There's something called VR Mark, and that's also in Steam. There is a free version of it. The VR Mark demo, you can run, I have it up here right on the screen. You search for it, find it, and you click launch in VR and run your system. You don't even have to have a headset to run this. This is just a test to see how your system would run with VR. And it'll kind of give you an idea of what kind of performance you'll get, because it'll open up a benchmark that simulates VR, and it'll tell you what frames per second you got, and yada yada yada. It'll give you some real basic information. You're going to have to buy it if you want like graphs to tell you like all the statistics and break things down in the real small, but it'll still tell you what kind of frames per second you're getting, and I believe it'll tell you if there's a bottleneck somewhere or not. But it's kind of a way to know if you're prepared. But I mean, that's all I really have to say about the Windows mixed reality stuff. I mean, I would highly recommend checking it out. You know, a lot of people that the Oculus Rift's on sale for $350 right now, but for the full room scale VR for the Oculus Rift, you can use 2 sensors, which it comes with, but for the best experience for Oculus Rift, you want 3. So you're taking $350, not counting whatever the tax is on that. Then you always got to remember tax, and then you got to have a $60 motion sensor that they sell separately. You want to have 3 to get the best experience for room scale VR, and that's what I've read. I haven't personally set it up, but everyone I've talked to and read about, and when I see stuff set up in stores, that's how it's set up. Well, when you compare that to, and you know, say for instance the Acer mixed reality headset, which is brand new, $300 right now for Black Friday, and $350 in stores before this. I don't know. It seems like prices are dropping, because I'm going to show you a few things in a second. You get that out of the box, you just plug it in and it works. You don't have to set anything up. The tracking does work well. You just have to remember to keep your hands where the sensors can see them in front of you. And no matter where you move in the room, it knows where you're at. So you don't need to have a whole room dedicated to VR. You don't need to have shit screwed into the walls. You don't need to have, you know, some people put towers up instead of screwing into the walls. You know, whatever. That's fine. And if you want to do that, great, go for it. If you've got your mindset on Oculus or Vive, I'm not going to try to sway you, but I'm telling you personally, my opinion, I think you should go Windows mixed reality, just because of the ease of use, the higher pixel density, and I mean, it's overall, I had a better experience with it than I did with Vive and Oculus. Also, there's another thing I wanted to show you. On HP right now, I mean, I hopped on eBay, I was just looking around. HP mixed reality headset and controllers, it's $260 on eBay right now, and you can get insurance, 1-year protection for $12. And let me go back and see what else they've got here. I mean, the HP one here has $300. That's the more expensive one. The HP when I went to the store is $400. I mean, and also the $260 one I was just looking at, that says or best offer. You might be able to haggle down a little bit. Let me scroll down here. Another HP for $260. HP and controllers, $240, free shipping. Lenovo, well, that's a bid. You know, you can, that's a mixed bag what you get with those. HP mixed reality headset, $234 and $17.50 shipping. You know, those are the kind of prices you can find on eBay, and I'm telling you, that is an absolute steal, because these have such a great quality resolution on them. And I mean, anyway, I'm just kind of rambling now. I'm just trying to make sure I get everything I wanted to say in this video, so I don't have to make any edits or add things in or annotate or do anything like that. But yeah, that's just my experience with the Samsung mixed reality headsets and other Windows mixed reality headsets. And hope you liked the video. I hope I was helpful, and hope you guys have a nice day.